friends, this is me Payal Dutta, and in today's video I am going to help you with the line-by-line explanation of Act 2 Scene 6 from William Shakespeare's play The Merchant of Venice. Please hit the like button if you like my video and don't forget to subscribe. So we begin. Act 2 Scene 6, Venice, the street outside Shylock's house. Enter Gratiano and Salerio dressed as maskers. From the previous scenes of this act, we know that Lorenzo had decided to prepare a mask to help Jessica elope with him. In this scene, we see how the plan was executed. So here we find Gratiano and Salerio waiting for Lorenzo under Shylock's house. Salerio complains that almost an hour has passed, but there is no trace of Lorenzo. Gratiano says, "And it is marvel he outdwells his hour, for lovers ever run before the clock." He means to say that it is shocking to see that Lorenzo is late, because lovers usually come before their appointed time. To this, Salerio alludes to Venus, the classical goddess of love, and says, "Oh, 10 times faster Venus's pigeons fly to see love's born new made, than they are wont to keep obliged, faith unforfeited." Salerio comments that the doves that drew the chariot of Venus fly 10 times faster when they are journeying to bind new-made love than they do when love is already attained. He says that for new lovers, time passes 10 times faster than for couples who have been married forever. In other words, the doves of Venus fly faster to seal the new lovers than they do to seal the obliged faith, that is, the marriage vows that are unforfeited, that is, unbroken. Gratiano agrees with Salerio and says, "That ever holds," meaning that it is true. "Who riseth from a feast with that keen appetite that he sits down?" Gratiano asks few rhetorical questions. Now, rhetorical questions are questions whose answer is known beforehand, and the speaker does not expect a reply. Gratiano here says that a person who has a keen appetite does not have the same hunger when he rises from his feast, that is, when he is full. "Where is the horse that doth untread again his tedious measures with the unbated fire, that he did pace them first?" Gratiano means to say that one would not find a horse travel again over the same road on its journey back with the same energy with which it set out. When the horse set out for its journey, it had an unbated fire, that is, undiminished energy. But when it returns, it becomes tedious and tired and cannot untread, that is, retrace its energetic steps again. All things that are with more spirit chased than enjoyed. Here Gratiano means to say that the pursuit of any desired object is a more enjoyable task and gives more joy compared to the pleasure one gets on its attainment. He goes on to prove the truth of this statement by giving an example of a ship. "How like a younger or a prodigal the scarfed bark puts from her native bay, hugged and embraced by the strumpet wind." Here Gratiano compares the ship to the younger son or the prodigal son from the Bible. Just like the prodigal son, who initially left his father's house with his share of property, the ship left her native bay with a scarfed bark, that is, decorated with flags and pennants. When the ship sailed out from her harbour, she seemed like a high-spirited young prodigal ready for adventure and pleasure. But then she is hugged and tossed by the strumpet wind. The wind is called strumpet that is unfaithful because it changes very easily. How like the prodigal doth she return, with overweathered ribs and ragged sails, lean, rent, and beggared by the strumpet wind. So after being tossed and hugged by the rough wind, the ship comes back to port with broken planks and ragged sails. It looks lean and torn, just like the prodigal son in the Bible, who was ruined by fate. Celerio and Gratiano express their views about the anxieties of lovers. That is when Lorenzo enters. Celerio informs Gratiano about Lorenzo's arrival, and they decide to speak on the topic of love some other day. So Lorenzo says, "Sweet friends, your patience for my long abode. Not I, but my affairs have made you wait. When you shall please to play the thieves for wives, I'll watch as long for you then." Lorenzo here apologizes to Gratiano and Celerio for being late. He says that his business affairs kept him away and so he could not reach on time. Lorenzo then tells his friends that if they play the thieves for wives, that is, if any of them wished to do what he was doing that night, that is stealing a fair lady to be their wife, then Lorenzo would also wait as long as they waited for him, and he too would help them. "Approach, here dwells my father." Jew. Lorenzo had decided to marry Jessica. On such terms, Shylock would be his father-in-law. So by Father Jew, Lorenzo here refers to Shylock. He shows his friends Shylock's house. From Jessica's letter to Lorenzo in Act 2, Scene 4, we know that Jessica decided to elope with Lorenzo dressed as a page. So here we see Jessica waiting for Lorenzo on the balcony dressed as a boy. Lorenzo calls out to her saying, "Ho, who's within?" Now Lorenzo was dressed as a masker. So Jessica asks him, "Who are you? Tell me for more certainty." "Abate, I'll swear that I do know your tongue." Jessica asks Lorenzo to reveal his identity, even though she could recognize his voice. She says that she wanted to be certain that it was Lorenzo. When Lorenzo discloses his identity, Jessica tells him, "Lorenzo, certain, and my love indeed. For who love I so much? And now who knows but you, Lorenzo, whether I am yours?" Jessica confirms that it is Lorenzo, her lover, and she says that she loved no one so much the way she loved Lorenzo. She also tells Lorenzo that only he knew whether she was hers or not. To this Lorenzo says, "Heavens and thy thoughts are witness that thou art." Meaning that God and his thoughts are witness that Jessica was his only love. As mentioned by Jessica earlier in her letter, she is prepared to elope with Lorenzo with Shylock's wealth and jewelry. So she says, "Here, catch this casket. It is worth the pains. I'm glad this night you do not look on me, for I am much ashamed of my exchange." Here Jessica says that she was glad that it was night and Lorenzo could not see her, because she was ashamed of her exchange, that is, her disguise as a boy. She asked Lorenzo to catch the casket in which she had put all her ducats, jewelry, and all her wealth. Then she goes on to say, "But love is blind, and lovers cannot see the pretty follies that themselves commit. For if they could, Cupid himself would blush to see me transformed to a boy." Jessica says that love is blind, and so are lovers, because they fail to see their own mistakes. Love is blind in this context since it makes Jessica dress like a boy, steal money and jewelry from her own house, and be ready to elope with Lorenzo, who is a Christian. She says that if Cupid saw her in her present attire, even he would blush. Now, Cupid is the classical god of love, who is always represented as blind with a bow and arrow. Lorenzo asks Jessica to come down from her balcony and join their masquerade as their torchbearer. To this, Jessica replies, "What? Must I hold a candle to my shames? They in themselves, good sooth, are too light. Why, 'tis an office of discovery, love, and I should be obscured." Jessica's feminine nature is highlighted here. Her shyness at her male clothes show her feminine modesty, as the Elizabethan times women never wore men's clothes. When Lorenzo asks her to be his torchbearer, she thinks that holding a candle would mean that people could now recognize her. She thinks that her shames are too light, meaning her shames were obvious and shameless in themselves. She then goes on to say that the duty of a torchbearer was an office of discovery, that is, to expose and reveal things with light. Jessica feels she should be obscured, that is, she should be hidden and concealed for dressing like a boy. Jessica thinks that her disguise is shameful and Lorenzo should not light them further by having her as a torchbearer. To this, Lorenzo replies, "So are you, sweet, even in the lovely garnish of a boy." Here, Lorenzo means to say that Jessica's identity was well hidden in the garnish, that is, the costume of a boy. He asks Jessica to leave the house and join them. For the close night doth play the runaway, and we are stayed for at Bassanio's feast. So here Lorenzo says that the dark close night would hide their secret of elopement, and the night was slipping away, that is, time was fleeing. He also informs Jessica that they should leave as soon as possible because the others were waiting at Bassanio's feast. Jessica then goes inside the house to make fast the doors, that is, lock the doors, and gild herself, that is, adorn herself with more ducats and jewelry. Lorenzo waits for her outside Shylock's house along with Gratiano and Salerio. Gratiano tells Lorenzo that Jessica's manners show no trace of a Jew. "By my hood" means upon my words. Gratiano feels that Jessica was too nice and gentle to be a Jew. Lorenzo says, "Beshrew me, but I love her heartily. For she is wise if I can judge her, and fair she is, if that mine eyes be true. And true she is, if she hath proved herself, and therefore like herself wise, fair, and true, shall she be placed in my constant soul." Here Lorenzo praises Jessica. He says that she was fair, wise, and true, and he loved her with all his heart. He says, "Beshrew me," meaning curse me, to intensify his declaration of love for her. He also says that Jessica shall always have a place in his soul. This is when Jessica comes out of her house and says, "On, gentlemen, away. Our masking mates by this time for our stay." Meaning that they should leave fast because the masking friends were waiting for them at Bassanio's party. Then they all leave for Bassanio's feast except Gratiano. This is when Graciano meets Antonio. The two friends greet each other and Antonio says, "Fie, fie, Graciano, where are all the rest? 'Tis 9 o'clock. Our friends all stay for you. No mask tonight. The wind is come about. Bassanio presently will go aboard. I have sent 20 out to seek for you." So seeing Graciano alone without any company, Antonio asks Graciano where the rest were. He says that it was 9 o'clock and his friends were waiting for him. He knew that Bassanio had plans to go to Belmont to win Portia and that Graciano would accompany him. Here Antonio informs Graciano that Bassanio had to go aboard, that is on his ship to Belmont, that very moment because the wind was about to come, that is the weather was ideal to set sail. Antonio tells Graciano that they would have to cancel the mask and that he had sent 20 people to look for him. Graciano says that he was glad to know about it. He says that he was delighted to know that they would sail to Belmont that very night and that he had no regret about the cancellation of the masquerade. And they leave. So this is the end of Act 2, Scene 6. Please hit the like button if you like my video and don't forget to subscribe. If you have any doubts regarding this scene, leave it in the comment section below. I will definitely reply. Thank you.